What up? I'm Chef Papelka, and this is the Braves TomaBlog. Sorry, it's been a minute. I've been out of the country. If you follow the Facebook page, you would have heard me talking about going to South Africa. I did a brief study abroad program there, so I was unable to really, I was able to keep up with the Braves, but I wasn't able to publish anything or really get much out while I was there. I wanted to get this video out prior to leaving, but it turns out the week before you go to South Africa is actually incredibly busy as well. But now I'm back, and the draft is in like a couple days. I don't know about you, but the draft really slipped up on me this year. I wasn't really thinking about it, and now it's here. Part of that is that we're not picking quite as high as we have been the last few years. The other thing is that we're in first place for the time being. Who cares about the draft? So before I get started, a couple things I want to say that I've never really said in a pre-draft video. For one thing, if you've been keeping up with it, a lot of us have been keeping up with mock drafts. I have too, but a word of advice. Throw those out. I heard this from Peter King, and he said this about the NFL draft, but if you're paying attention to mock drafts, teams pay attention to mock drafts as much as they pay attention to fantasy football. It doesn't mean anything, and so people that are doing mock drafts, doing it based on fit, they have absolutely no idea what's going on in the minds of teams and their scouts. So the other word of advice that goes along with that is obviously don't get attached to any individual player, don't get attached to any individual strategy, don't go, oh, high school hitter, I hate him, high school pitcher, hate him, college hitter, pitcher, could be any of those. The main reason is that we're picking 8th this year, which means that I can pretty much assure you there won't really be any funny business this year. We're just going to pick the best player available. In terms of strategy, I think it's also been overly simplified this year because we're picking number 8 and we're picking number 49, and then after that we don't pick again until 112th overall, because keep in mind that we lost our 3rd round pick due to the Capella investigation. And so with each of those picks, we have more than enough money to spend on the picks themselves. And this is an extremely talented class that we're looking at. In terms of, it's a top-heavy talent class, but I've just been seeing some of the grades that are on some of the players. It's a little unlike anything else any other year. This is an incredibly toolsy draft year. There are a lot of players with lots of incredibly good tools and a lot of really well-rounded players to go along with it. What it's top-heavy in is pitching. There's a lot of both good high school and college level pitchers. There's just lots of good pitchers all around. We're the Atlanta Braves. We're going to be eating this up. There's also a good amount of power at both levels as well. A lot of really good power hitters available, which we could use some of that as well if that's what we decide to go with. Like I said, don't get married to anything. Just enjoy draft night. We're getting the number 8 pick. We're going to add a top-notch player to our already outstanding farm system. Just enjoy draft night. It's a great night. So in terms of the little bit that I can guarantee, it's that there are 2 guys that I can almost guarantee won't be available. It's Casey Mize, the Auburn pitcher, and Joey Bart, the Georgia Tech catcher. There's been a lot of rumored interest, which is generally pretty accurate, between Detroit and San Francisco. Both of them like those 2 players. I don't really care for those 2 players that much anyway, but that seems to be what they're planning on going with. Another guy that I think is unlikely to be available is Carter Stewart, the high school pitcher. He's got a great fastball-curveball combo. Something the Braves like, but there's 7 teams in front of us, a lot of interest that I've heard around him, so he's unlikely to slip to us as well. But again, there's 7 picks before us, so it'll really depend on what slips to us, and then the scouting that goes around that, which is a little more unpredictable this year, but overall, most of the scouts are the same guys, so we are going to have generally the same preferences, but since it's not like the last 2 years where we're in the top 5, I can't really just tell you based on like what slips to us, what doesn't. I don't know. So I'm going to go through some of the guys that are up there. I'll talk about some of the guys that I don't like, some of the guys that I do like, and some of the ones that are pretty good fits for us. So I'll get into that now. I can start with the guys that I don't like. The first one is Brady Singer. He's ranked pretty high. A lot of people are comparing him to AJ Puck and Alex Fiedo. I never figured out how to pronounce his name. They're the aces of Florida the last 2 years, and then Singer replaced them this year, and so they're getting a lot of comps to those guys. Generally, comparisons that go by school are kind of a fallacy. It's where, we go like, oh, Sonny Gray is similar to David Price. No, he's not. They just both went to Vanderbilt. I kind of see it. Brady Singer reminds me a lot of AJ Puck. He's got that fastball slider changeup mix, which to me it's a little unexceptional. He strikes me as a guy that's really coasted off of talent to this point because he has been really talented, and he got to this year where there was a lot of pressure on him as the ace pitcher of a really good baseball team, and he struggled a lot of the time. It's not that he's bad. He's certainly not bad. He's going to probably be a top 15 pick this year. It's just a guy that I don't see any reason why I would line up to give him $5 million when there are so many good other guys on the board. I just feel like I've heard this before with AJ Puck and Carlos Rodon and countless other guys, that they were supposed to be the #1 pick going into the year and then they disappointed in their last year of college. I pass. They're just not that good. Next up, Alex Baum. He's a third baseman from Wichita State. He's kind of a stocky guy. He's all bat. He doesn't have any tools outside of hitting. He's slow. Most people don't think that he can stick at third base and he'll have to move to first base. But yet a lot of people are really high on him because of his bat, and I don't necessarily see anything other than a hit tool. I see power that he can grow into. Again, there's just so many other guys available. I'd be perfectly fine with him in the second round. I wouldn't line up for that, especially a guy that's going to be such a project. I don't know, I just don't see it. Next up, Nolan Gorman, which I've heard a lot of people talking about Nolan Gorman, and for some reason people really think he fits the Braves. I don't see it. Essentially, who Nolan Gorman is, if you haven't seen anything on him, he's got amazing power. He has major league level power right now. It's already showing up in games at the high school level, which is incredibly rare that someone is able to hit home runs at a level almost at the major leagues when they're 18 years old. He has that. They're reporting holes in his swings. He goes through ups and downs at the high school level. That's crazy to me. If you're a first round pick, you should just be killing it at high school. And so a guy with a hole in his swing like that, that I'm just relying on to have major league power, of course he'll figure something out. Of course, if you can hit home runs at the major league level, you'll find a spot on a major league roster eventually. But I can get a star at the #8 pick. I don't see any reason for me to line up for this. I'd love him in the 3rd or 4th round. I don't love him here. Once again, pass. Nick Madrigal, he's the Oklahoma State middle infielder. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with him. It just doesn't get me excited. We're stacked in middle infield, which we shouldn't pick based on that. But I don't know. Doesn't see anything that gets me excited. I said the same thing about Royce Lewis last year, and he's doing a good job. So if we pick him, I'll learn to live with it. I don't see any reason why I should get excited about that. If we pick any of these guys, I'll learn to live with it. I will be pretty skeptical if we pick Brady Singer. Okay, so that was the guys that I'm not necessarily sold on, not in love with. If you disagree with me, absolutely go in the comments, give me change my opinion. Commenters change my opinion all the time. I love it, so please let me know. So with that, I'll look at some of the guys that at #8 I think could fit us a lot better. The first one is Cole Winn, who's a right-handed pitcher from California, as a high school guy. So this past season, he had a great season, made himself one of the premier high school arms in the class aside from Carter Stewart and that guy with a really weird name. I think he's should be available at #8, and that's a really good spot to go after a high school arm that you really like. Kind of reminds me of going after Ian Anderson and going after Colby Allard. He reminds me of a lot of the two of them, and he's a really high character guy. It's something a lot of his scouting reports say, which if you look at the Braves farm system, something that we've clearly valued over the last few years. If you think about Ozzie Albies, Ronald Acuna, Ian Anderson, Colby Allard, especially Mike Soroka, and Austin Riley. We really like high character guys, and you see it on the field right now with the Major League team. It's absolutely delightful to watch, so I think he would fit in really well in our farm system, and he's got a lot of pitchability. Next up, Shane McClanahan, the left-handed pitcher from South Florida. A lot of people are looking at him and seeing a good fit with the Braves. A lot of people are comparing him to Chris Sale. He's a wiry guy. He's got a wiry left-handed delivery. He's really developed. He's had a really good year at South Florida. So just a college pitcher that you could pitch, or that you could pick, and you think he's going to be up fairly soon. He's pretty developed, so you'd probably have him in AA by next year, presumably with a shot at the majors by the year after that. So, another quick development. I think Shane McClanahan fits that really well. Other guys, Jackson Cower, another Florida pitcher. Essentially, everything that I just said for Shane McClanahan, it goes as well for Jackson Cower, except he's a right-handed pitcher. But he's pitching in the SEC, so I think he's a little more polished as well. Look, as far as McClanahan and Cower go, I don't think that you can really go wrong with those picks, even if they don't work out. If you just look at what we've been doing as far as, like, we picked all those high school arms, they're coming up, and then we picked Cower Wright, who's been a mixed bag thus far, but I'm not too worried right now. You put McClanahan or Cower with that, oh my goodness, it's just another cog in the system in terms of great, talented, highly developed, well-thought-out pitchers. Hard to go wrong. Jared Kalenic, he's a high school outfielder. Nothing too much to say about him. He's just a solid player. He's got 5 tools that can be average or above average. It reminds me a lot of Blake Rutherford. He's just a solid player, so I like him. Nothing wrong with that pick there. And to wrap it off, another guy that I like, that I'm down with, is Travis Swaggerty from South Alabama. If you're curious, Jack Le Guin, who writes for the Facebook page for the Braves TomaBlog, did an interview with him that's available on the Facebook page if you're interested in that. I'm sure that Jack would appreciate it. It's a pretty good interview. Solid player, doesn't really have any massive holes or anything. A lot of people compare him to Brett Gardner. He's speed first, but he's got a good bat. He kind of reminded me of Adam Hazley and Pavin Smith, who got drafted last year. Just good players, would fit really well into our system. Alright, that's pretty much everyone that I wanted to talk about except one guy, because I was real patient to talk about the guy that I want. And I know I told you don't marry yourself to any player, but I'm not taking my own advice. There's one player that I definitely have my eye on. I got my man's picked out. I don't know that he'll get to us, and if he doesn't, I can live with that. If we pass on him, I will break my TV. The player that I want this guy so bad. I would love to get this guy. It's Jonathan India, third baseman from Florida. He's had an outstanding year. He's been vastly underrated, in my opinion, by every scouting department that I've seen report on him. He's so good. He's so solid. Such a professional hitter. And look, he's the best hitter in the SEC. In my opinion, that should make this real simple. We do this every year. We overlook these SEC hitters, and there aren't great players like this every single year coming out of the SEC as bats. They're always pitchers. But that's the thing about it, is that he's facing AA pitching in the SEC, and so he's already learned to hit in the SEC. It means he's already learned to hit at a AA level, which means that he's already essentially a sneeze away from the major leagues as things are right now. If you can rake in the SEC, you've figured it out. So now when I say like everyone underrates these players, what I mean by that is like public scouting. I mean like websites. They're always underrating them, and they're going with these toolsy, high school pitchers or college pitchers. It's always the pitchers. I don't mean MLB teams. They don't underrate these players. The last couple players to hit this well in the SEC were Nick Senzel, Alex Bregman, and Dansby Swanson. None of them made it out of the first 2 picks. So I'm really hoping that something is up. Now, apparently, as I said, the rumors are that Detroit and San Francisco, they like Bart and they like Mize. Go get them. I don't care. So they're not taken with Jonathan India. That's their loss. Maybe Mize or Bart will work out. I don't care. They don't want India, which is fine. So I'm just really hoping that 5 other teams are as confused as they are. It has happened before. You remember Andrew Benintendi was killing it at Arkansas, and he slipped to number 7, where Boston was like, "Are you kidding me?" And he was up a year later, and everyone clearly screwed up by not picking Benintendi. Hunter Renfroe went 13th overall. Evan White went 17th overall. He was a Kentucky player. Now he's with Seattle. He's hitting really well. So it is possible. It's possible that everyone just has the blinders on with Jonathan India, and he can slip past everyone else and get to us at number 8. You can't get it wrong if you pick India. He should be up in a year or 2. He can play multiple positions. He's just a professional hitter. He'll have it worked out the same way Nick Senzel, Dansby Swanson, and Alex Bregman did, and Andrew Benintendi. Can't go wrong with Jonathan India. We probably won't get him, and if we don't, I'll learn to deal with it. We have other players. We'll get a good player instead of him. But I have my man's picked out. So that's my brief scouting report, and that's my brief preview of the draft that's coming up in just a couple days. Get real excited about it. We're going to add another great player to our farm system. It's a great day no matter what, and I can't wait to see how that player pans out in the future. There's going to be great players picked in the rounds beyond the first round, as well as there always are. So just get excited about it. Don't get married to anyone, and just be excited by whatever player that we get. I'll do my best to take my own advice with that. So let me know in the comments. I'm really excited to hear what you guys think, who you guys are looking for, who you guys are really excited about, and who you have your fingers crossed that we're able to get along that path as well. So once again, I'm Shep Papelka. This is the Braves TomaBlog YouTube channel where I talk about the Braves and I talk about baseball in general. I'm also available on a Facebook page where I write articles pretty much every single day, along with Jack Le Guin. So anyway, if you're interested in more Braves TomaBlog material, give it a look, see if it's for you. I really hope you enjoyed, and go Braves!